Hey guys, hope you are all well. We are happy to announce that today we have with us Aishwarya Sridhar, India's youngest wildlife photographer, youngest person to have been awarded the Century Asia's Young Naturalist Award at age of 15. She is a film director and passionate conservationist. She has also directed the film Panji, The Last Wetland, which was also telecasted on DD National. She is already a powerful voice for conservation and a shining example to children of her age. Her poems and essays, born of a passion for nature, have won numerous awards at inter-school competitions and have been published in papers around the country, including the Times of India, DNA, and Club magazine. Aishwarya had a lifetime ahead of her, yet is driven to widen support for natural conservation because, in her words, the natural world is in trouble and we no time left. So let's begin our session with Aishwarya Sridhar.
Hello.
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 Hi, Shreya. Thank you so much
Hi.
for joining us.
Hi, Harsh. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm also good. So, how was your quarantine is going on?
Quarantine is bad. Mumbai is bad. Nowhere to go. At home.
Everywhere same.
Yeah.
Let's begin today's session. So I think it will be little unfair if we have you and didn't ask about the girl, the story of that girl who began. If I'm not wrong, you began with it when you was 15.
Actually 12. But yeah, the award I got when I was 14, 15. So yeah.
So please tell us full story.
Okay, so I am basically a wildlife photographer, a filmmaker, and a presenter. I'm 23 right now. It all started when I was around 11, 12 years old. I used to accompany my father, who's a member of the Bombay Natural History Society. So with him, I used to go on nature treks and outdoor camps, and that's how I began really liking the outdoors and the wild and falling in love with nature. So that's how it began. And I saw my first tiger in the wild when I was around 11, and I was totally mesmerized. I really fell in love with the big cat at that moment, because we were tracking this particular tigress using pug marks and alarm calls, and out of nowhere suddenly she appeared, and that whole scene I still remember. She walked out of the grass towards Arc Gypsy and head on that too. So that was like a really incredible moment for me. And after that, it was just organic. I began writing and conducting programs in schools, and it went on from there.
As I was reading about you, I have got to know that you have directed one film, Panji, The Last Wetland.
Yes.
Which was also telecasted on DD National.
Yes.
Tell me about that also.
Okay, so again, Panji is a place which is not very far from where I live. So I stay in Panvel, and Panji is about 30 kilometers from where I stay. It's about 15-20 minutes by car. So this is the only remaining wetland as of now in entire Uran. And Uran is like it used to be a fishing village and a coastal town, which used to have over 1,000 to 2,000 hectares of wetlands. From that, coming to only one wetland, whereas all the other wetlands were reclaimed. So I didn't want Panji, that state, to happen to Panji also, because I have seen Panji since I was a little girl, and I did not want to lose that last remaining wetland also, a place where I could go for birding. And also during my college, when I was studying college, I did a little bit of research there, because I met a girl who had lost her father to suicide, because he committed suicide as he had no livelihood left. as all the remaining nearby wetlands near his fishing village had been reclaimed. So there was no livelihood for him. He could not earn, and he decided to commit suicide. That story stayed with me somewhere, and when I realized that Panjay was also going to go in for development, I thought enough is enough. I did not want another young girl or a boy to lose their father. So that is the reason I decided to use storytelling as a method of creating awareness and putting forth to people that this wetland needed to be protected, it needed to be saved, and that's how the film was born.
So moving to our next question, that is how wildlife photography is different from normal photography.
Wildlife photography is basically anything, is any genre of photography relating to nature. So it can be clicking wildlife, birds, animals, insects, even landscapes. All of that is part of wildlife photography, because in the end you're clicking nature. The other genres of photography are like wedding, and you have street photography and food photography. So wildlife is anything that moves and crawls in nature. So I would term that as wildlife photography.
So actually, when you have joined this and thought that I will pursue it as my career,
right.
So what was the reaction of your parents?
They were a little surprised, but I guess they knew that coming from a lot of time, because I've been in this since childhood. So yeah, somewhere, in fact, I felt they would have been surprised if I had chosen some other career than this.
And what was the reaction of your friends?
My friends were shocked because I was academically a very brilliant student. And they didn't even my teachers were shocked to see I went into the media line, because they probably envisioned me behind a desk with spectacles and probably doing a 9-to-5 job, a typical job. But yeah, they supported me a lot in my decision to join wildlife as a career.
As I have read about you and found that you are the youngest to win the Best Nature and Wildlife Award at International Camera Fair in the city.
Yeah.
So please elaborate, what was your expression when you have received that award at that age?
So I was very happy that I received that award at that age. It was basically an event. So International Camera Fair is held every year in Chennai. So they kind of pick emerging as well as professional photographers in different genres. So you have street, food, wildlife, conservation. Okay, and I think the year I won it was the year I won it along with a friend of mine named Ramnath. So he also got it for clicking wildlife and conservation, but he was in the professional category, whereas I got in the emerging category. So I was the youngest to win that award at that time. So yeah, it felt great, and it also kind of put a responsibility in me that I should do better.
So moving to my next question, that is, what would you like to give the message to upcoming wildlife photographers?
So, okay, my message to upcoming wildlife photographers would be just work hard, keep practicing, because if you're probably studying in a school or somewhere which teaches you photography, then great. I didn't do that. I completely learned photography through YouTube. So practice is a lot needed when you completely self-learn. Whereas even if you're learning in a school, I would still recommend you should practice, because you should know your camera very well. Unless you know what your camera can perform, the functions it can possibly it does. So you should be able to know that, and also study your subject. That is very important, because we generally only concentrate on clicking, whereas we should also understand and know what we are clicking. So suppose I am going to say click the Bengal tiger. Okay, so I first have to, normally what I do is that I read up a bit on the animal. I read up on the place that I'm going to visit, so I know exactly what I can expect, and thereby compose my frames in my mind. So that is essential to do. And my
Okay,
and
please continue.
yeah, so I can also probably tell you all to the youth that photography may not be the only option available if you are keen on wildlife. So you can probably even become a biologist, or even a researcher, because those fields are also extremely important. And main thing is fall in love with nature and try and protect nature. Be it, even if you're not a wildlife photographer, if you're not in this field of wildlife, still my message to the youth would be, you are needed right now at this hour to save our planet, because our planet has no other hope except us. And
Absolutely.
I feel the youth of today has that capability in them to stand up and fight for nature. So might as well do that in your own possible way.
So, Aishwarya, I would like to ask, if you are not into this field, then what would you like to be?
Okay, if I was not in this field, I at one point wanted to be a CA. So yeah, probably I'll go with that.
As we have seen that already, there's a film 3 Idiot in which we have seen Rehan,
Yeah.
whose father is whose father is not supporting. So what would you say for these type of students, or those who want to come into this, but because of any kind of pressure they can't
Right.
find it?
Yeah, I understand those children's plight, because a lot of times wildlife photography, let me tell you, is not financially that paying until and unless you gain a position in this field. So once you have reached a certain kind of level, then yes, it does become lucrative financially. But otherwise, for those beginning out, starting out, probably try and convince your parents to see your passion. Like in the end of Three Idiots, the father does see the boy's passion, right? He does see that he wouldn't be happy anywhere else. So try and probably make your parents realize that.
It is a wonderful message. So I would like to ask, what would you like to tell or give some message? What are the career options for upcoming youth in this field?
Okay, so in this field, you have a lot of career options. You can either be a photographer, you can be a filmmaker, you can be a biologist, a researcher. There's even fields like cartooning. So you can actually adapt cartoons to give messages of wildlife conservation. You can become a painter and still paint, like you can go into art and at the same time also showcase wildlife in your art. Even as a lawyer, you can probably use your education as a lawyer to fight for environment, to fight environmental cases and bring about changes in our environmental laws. So I think every career option that you normally have, you can adapt that to being in wildlife. So it's not necessarily that you need to have a separate career for this, except probably as a filmmaker and a photographer.
All right. So Aishwarya, what was the work which you have did till now? What was the most happiest moment which you have feel that I have did something great?
When I got to know that Panje would be protected. So yeah, that was the happiest moment for me, because I really felt that my efforts to save the livelihood of the Panje fishermen, as well as of the bird life that thrives there, paid off. And it was not a singular effort. A lot of people contributed to this movement also. So yeah, I really feel that all our efforts kind of became fruitful when the government is now contemplating on saving Panje and declaring it a sanctuary. So yeah.
So as I was listening your TEDx talk, in which you have said that when you approached to officers and they said that you are just a small girl, go and concentrate on your studies. So what when you made now to them, then what is right now their reactions?
They still consider me a little girl, but at that point, I was probably 2 years younger. So when I kind of showed them the film and I spoke to them, they were extremely closed. Okay, they never wanted to entertain me, and they were very condescending towards me also. But after that, I remember one of them gave me a call after the entire Panje matter became a media issue, and the news was in the press as well as in the TV news channels. At that point, one of the officers gave me a call and he told me that you have really messed up our lives, and now we have to kind of be answerable to the CM office, and you might just have your way in getting Panje declared a sanctuary. And I probably felt very happy at that point, even though he told me I messed up his life, because these developmental agencies kind of need to know and understand that we have to respect our environment and nature. They can't take our planet for granted. And I guess now the current situation proves that we have taken enough of our planet for granted and we are paying the price ourselves.
So as I have read about you and found that you want to become a wildlife filmmaker someday and shoot films to spread message of conservation of nature and wildlife, right?
Yes.
So I would like to know if you are comfortable to tell. So what were your future goals and how would you like to work in coming days?
Okay, so I would my main aim in life is to probably become one of the most leading wildlife filmmakers and presenters from India, because I feel that the Indian community is not kind of that well represented in this field. So I can probably be a champion for that. So yeah.
So as recently we have seen that pandemic is going on, and I don't know how much long will it carry on. So we have seen that during these days, Earth is recovering itself.
Yes.
So what would you like to put your thoughts into this? Do we need to care or something like to keep giving some type of take some measures to reduce its pollution?
Yes, we have to. In fact, not only pollution, yes, we obviously have to now kind of step back and decide to lead a more sustainable life, because I think enough is enough. We have tortured our planet a lot and now we are paying the price for it. I guess after the pandemic gets over, even at that point, we should not be selfish and only think of our freedom. We should also let our wild neighbors enjoy the same freedom, because I don't know if you've seen currently there are flamingos in Mumbai which are painting the town pink. There's somewhere in Tamil Nadu a civet cat roaming on the streets. There's probably somewhere in outside abroad wildlife is slowly making its way back. Okay, and I guess when we are caged, we should when we become uncaged, we should realize that we should not put them back in the cage again. We should give them that freedom to live and kind of respect wildlife and coexist happily.
So actually, as we have seen that now, so means we would like to know that what should be the responsibility of every citizen of the country to give respect in order to pay the respect to its Mother Earth.
It can be simple things. You don't have to kind of go out there, stage a dharna and do a movement. Simple things like switching off the light when you're not using it, turn off the tap when when you kind of after washing your hands or while you're applying soap, don't let the tap run. Okay, don't litter, don't throw plastic everywhere, and first of all, main thing, stop using single-use plastic, because single-use plastic is choking our oceans. So stop using that, and then don't litter. Yeah, these are simple measures that you can take as a responsible citizen, and that will go a long way in greening our earth. If possible, try and plant trees in your neighborhood, make it green so that you yourself get more oxygen.
Sure, Sir. Moving to, I think that is last question. So, what do you think if we didn't take these measures, then what can be its future consequences?
Future consequences can be bad, because currently itself, with so much of disrespecting that we have been doing for decades, we are facing the pandemic now. There is a kind of a speculation that says that the pandemic is because of the bats which transfer the virus to a pangolin in the wet markets of Wuhan, that is illegal wildlife trade, and from there the transition was made to humans. Now it's because probably we thought that eating all things that crawl and creep are fine, and we felt that consuming wildlife was treated as a status symbol and it was exotic, but now we are kind of suffering for it, right? So as a citizen, if you don't take your planet seriously, then I feel one day Mother Nature will give back to you. She can take it up to a point, and this pandemic is only a warning, I feel. Maybe years later, we don't know, because 2019 New Year's Eve, we never expected, any of us, that we will be locked like this, that we cannot step out, and that there would be a virus, an invisible creature would cage us in our own homes, where we can't go out, we can't go shopping, we can't do anything that normally we could do. God knows we are thinking this should be over, and this kind of should not get repeated and stretch long. But if we continue destroying nature in the same way that we had, God knows the next year what it holds more for us.
What? Absolutely. So it was a wonderful answer, and also the wonderful interaction with you.
Thank you,
Thank you so much for joining us. If you would like to ask anything about us, otherwise we have to wrap up this session. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you, Harsh. Thank you so much.